Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we are setting the stage for a really exciting preview of the upcoming Linguistics 2026 Paris International Conference. Look, if you're fascinated by how human beings communicate, how we literally learn to speak, or how AI is just completely rewiring our digital interactions, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's get started. So, the driving force behind this massive event is the International Linguistic Society. It's happening this October from the 28th to the 30th, right in the heart of Paris at Inalco, which is an incredible historic center of excellence. But you know what's truly great about this? It's a hybrid event. So whether you're walking into the Maison de la Recherche in person or you're logging in from across the globe, it's a shared worldwide commitment to linguistic diversity. All right, let's dive right into our agenda. We'll be covering 1. Welcome to Linguistics 2026, 2. Rethinking modern language education, 3. AI and language assessment, 4. Understanding language development, and 5. Shaping the future. Moving to Section 1, Welcome to Linguistics 2026. The overarching goal for this conference is huge, advancing contemporary linguistics while actively embracing real-world, cutting-edge applications. Basically, the conference creates a home for a super diverse crowd of researchers by breaking down into 4 pioneering scopes. First up, we've got core linguistics. That's your fundamental building blocks, right? Phonetics, syntax, semantics. Then, interdisciplinary linguistics, bringing in the psychology and neuroscience angles. Third is applied linguistics, where the rubber really meets the road in education and pathology. And finally, the wild card that's changing everything, AI and linguistics, exploring how emerging tech is fundamentally altering how we communicate. Section 2, Rethinking Modern Language Education. Here we are zooming in on our first keynote speaker, Emma Marsden from the University of Oxford, who is tackling a real crisis in modern language education in England. Get this. Every single year in England, roughly 250,000 16-year-olds, that's about 45% of the entire student cohort, take a high-stakes national exam in French, German, or Spanish. But despite those massive numbers up front, there's a critical ongoing shortage of students actually advancing to higher levels. And what that means is a severe lack of language expertise in global business and diplomacy. We are desperately short on professionals who can bridge those cultural divides. Let's move to and see how this builds. Marsden actually traces this issue across a 50-year timeline. Pre-1980s, foreign language study was strictly for an elite few, mostly using methods meant for teaching ancient languages. Then, in the 80s and 90s, we see the rise of communicative approaches, trying to open languages up to everybody. That led to a couple of decades of research focused on a status quo, where government curricula barely even defined actual linguistic content. They mostly just focused on memorized phrases. Finally, between 2022 and 2026, we get these major policy changes that actually map out specific linguistic content for classrooms. Now, naturally, those recent policy changes cause some friction. There's been a concerning misalignment between the curriculum and the assessments, which, as you can imagine, really drains motivation for both teachers and students. But the key takeaway here is perfectly summarized by Marsden. She argues that despite this friction, the high-level goals of promoting actual communication and appreciating other cultures remain totally intact. We don't have to forsake those goals just because we finally have defined a linguistic content. The baby hasn't been thrown out with the bathwater. All right, on to Section 3, AI in language assessment. Our second keynote is Jeffrey T. LaFleur from the Duolingo English Test, and he's exploring the intersection of AI and language testing. To really get this shift, we have to talk about computational psychometrics. I know it's a dense term, but it is a total game changer. In traditional test making, figuring out how hard a question is requires tons of pilot testing with real people. It's slow, it costs a fortune, and it's a security risk. Computational psychometrics basically solves that bottleneck. By combining AI with psychometric methods, developers can analyze the test question itself to create highly stable synthetic difficulty estimates. It completely bypasses that costly traditional pilot phase. LaFleur breaks down the massive hurdles of large-scale digital-first language assessments into a rule of 3. First, content generation, making huge banks of questions using AI to adapt to a user's skill level. Second, parameter estimation, which we just covered, securing those difficulty metrics synthetically. And third, automated scoring, ensuring computers can reliably evaluate nuanced human language, not just simple right or wrong answers. That third point, automated scoring, that is where things get genuinely fascinating. Historically, computers have been pretty bad at grading writing or speaking beyond basic grammar. But today, thanks to register-based corpus linguistics and natural language processing, AI can evaluate highly complex elements of language. It can literally measure the cohesion of an essay or the intelligibility of spoken words. This is absolutely crucial for ensuring automated scores are valid, reliable, and fair to the test taker. Section 4, Understanding Language Development. We're shifting gears now to our final keynote, Monica Melby-Lerveg from the University of Oslo, looking at the psychology behind how we acquire language in the first place. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is it brings up a deceptively simple question. What is language, developmentally speaking? Melby-Lerveg's longitudinal studies look at the true dimensionality of language. It isn't just one monolithic thing. It's this intricate web of vocabulary, grammar, and phonological awareness. Her research digs into how these components interact, how they shift as a child grows, and how genetics and environment drive development. And all of that research leads to this vital distinction: malleable specific skills versus broader language competence. Basically, Melby-Lerveg found that yes, targeted intensive training can absolutely move the needle on specific skills. But shifting a child's broader overall language competence, that is significantly harder. This distinction is a huge deal. It forces us to ask how we should design educational interventions to support language development that actually lasts, instead of just artificially boosting an isolated skill. For educators and parents, this completely reframes the approach. And finally, Section 5, Shaping the Future. We've seen how education policy, AI tools, and developmental psychology all intersect. Guys, this is where you come in. The International Linguistic Society has issued their call for papers. They are inviting established researchers and emerging scholars to submit one-page abstracts. Again, it's a hybrid event, October 28th to the 30th. You can do oral or poster presentations, and accepted abstracts will actually be published as expanded 4-page papers in their preceding series. It's an incredible opportunity to collaborate. Which leaves us with this final thought to ponder. We've covered a lot today, from national testing policies to AI grading and the psychology of learning to speak. So whether through AI, policy, or psychology, how will your research help redirect the trajectory of human communication? I highly encourage you to submit your work and join the conversation this October. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and keep on learning.